Hello friends, welcome back to Mule Academy. In today's session, we are going to talk about how to sync the client applications which are created in your external identity provider or client provider. Okay, so basically we have external client provider, let's say kind of Okta. Okay, and we don't have, let's say, this integration with our Anypoint platform. Okay, now if I want to apply any policy on my API and want to do a client validation, okay, so I should have that client application created in my Anypoint platform in Exchange. Okay, so that means somehow I need to create application, client application with the same credentials which are there in the external client provider. But unfortunately, we don't have a web UI in Anypoint platform to do that, to replicate the client application which is there in external client provider with the same credentials. Our Anypoint platform always create a client application with new credentials. Okay, now so use case is so very simple. Let's say I have an external client provider, I have Anypoint platform, and I want to sync applications which are there in Okta with the with Anypoint platform. And this whatever you see here, right, client provider integration is not there. Okay, so before moving to the detailed discussion, I'll encourage everyone to please subscribe the channel, share with your friends, hit the like button, hit the bell icon, and write your feedback in the comment section below. Okay, so if you know external client provider configured for the environment, right? Anypoint platform, or we can say Anypoint is the default client provider, for all the APIs in that specific environment. If external client provider is configured in the environment, then external client provider is used by all the APIs. You can have multiple external client providers, okay? But when you are configuring client provider for your API, that has to be only one, okay? Now, very important point is if there are external providers, okay, identity providers or client providers, in the environments, you cannot choose Anypoint as the provider for any new APIs. It has to be external provider. Okay. So when creating a client application to access an API, the client ID and secret is created in the client provider, which the API uses. If it's an external client provider, the client ID or secret is created in the external client provider, and Anypoint platform keeps a copy of it. Okay, so that you can get the client ID secret from the admin console. So now that is when we have proper integration. Some cases you won't be having client provider integration with your Anypoint platform. How to do that part? How to sync the external provider client application with the Anypoint platform? Okay, so until the integration is done, we would need to keep these two systems in sync manually. Okay, so we can make it work in multiple steps. So whenever new consumer, okay, like system A or system B, or request to access our secured MuleSoft APIs, they will need a client application to be created in both in our external provider and in Anypoint platform. The order of the client application creation must be first create the client app in external provider. Okay, so for our demo we'll take Okta, and then replicate that client application in Anypoint platform. Without replicating that client application in Anypoint platform, okay, client ID validation, when we apply the policy, right, that won't be possible. So we would need client ID validation to be to be capture the usage matrix, right? So what we can do is, so as I said, unfortunately we won't have web UI. Okay, so Anypoint platform does not provide a web UI to replicate a client application. Rather, it always creates a new set of client ID and client secret. So to bypass this gap, what we can do, we can use our platform exchange APIs. REST APIs are there. So we'll use those REST API. In meanwhile, I'll show you how it looks. Okay. We can use a curl command to execute that API, or we can use a postman. So for our demo, we'll use a postman. Okay. So to bypass that gap, we can use that platform API and we can create a new client application with the details which are there in the external provider. So we'll use the same client ID and client secret from Okta, and we'll create the new application. So the points we can the prerequisite, we can say that okay, there has to be API instance in API manager. Okay, because we want to create a client for that particular API instance, and there should not be client provider integrated with our Anypoint platform. Okay, so these are the two things has to be there. So first we'll see the Octa setup, then we'll come back to our Anypoint platform. So we'll note down our business group ID. We'll note down the API ID because that's what we need while creating a new client application in Anypoint Exchange. Okay. So let's go ahead and see the Octa setup first. So I'll take you to the Octa first. So I'll log into my Octa. So, so let's go ahead. So it will take me to the Octa. So first thing what we'll do is we'll create an application. Okay, so let's go ahead. First we'll create the application over here. So go to create app integration. We are going to create sign in method. We'll use OpenID Connect. So basically we'll be dynamically, so this application was for the registering dynamically the clients. Okay, but right now we don't have client provider in Anypoint platform, so we'll use this method. So we'll use web application as application type. We'll say next. So it will ask us to give a, so I say okay, and we'll say client ID credentials, and we'll keep as it is, whatever information we have here, we'll keep, and we'll select assignment as all everyone in our organization to access. Save it. It will give you the web application with client ID and client secret. Okay, so we'll use this client ID, client secret in our experience API. So I'll show you first how the experience API looks like. Bring that. So we can find the documentation for this API. So our URL is this. Okay, V2 organization. So we need few information over here. So we need organization ID. I'll get that organization ID from Anypoint platform. And then we need the API instance ID. So these two things we need to get it from our Anypoint platform. Okay. Then what we'll do, we'll go ahead and we'll use our platform credentials to generate the token. So this API is secured, and to execute this API, platform API, we need a token. So I'll be using my platform credentials to create the token, and then okay, so I'll be passing the application name. Okay, so I'll give application name over here, whatever name we gave in our Octa side. So we'll same name I'll give here as well. Okay, so I'll say test application, and grant types, I'll give all 4-5 grants types. Okay, so password is there, implicit, client credentials, operation code, refresh token, and redirect URL. You can give whatever you want. So I just gave localhost 9090 callback, and then URL is this. Okay, and these credentials, this is the credentials I was talking about. So I just copy from my Octa. So I'll copy this. I'll go back to my notepad, Control V, that is the client ID. And then I'll go ahead and copy the client secret. Okay. So our request is ready. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and let's go to our Anypoint platform. I'll take you to the Anypoint platform first. So first we'll go to access management. First we'll verify there is no client provider configured. So I'll go to client providers. There are no client providers here. Okay. Now I'll go to my exchange. Before that, let's go to the API manager. So from the API manager, I'll take two things. Okay. So I'll get the business group ID from here itself. So I have option to get the business group ID from here. So I'll copy this business group ID. Okay. I'll that is my business group ID. And then done. I'll go to my API instance. Okay, so I'll get this API instance ID and then copy that information also here. Okay, now so these two informations are done. Now go to exchange and cross check, is there any application with that name in my exchange? So if I go to my applications over here, so there are no applications. Okay, so even this application I'll delete it. Okay. Okay. So now we'll go ahead. Now this curl command I can execute from my Postman. So this is my URL. Okay. So first what I'll do is I'll copy my body from here. This is the body. Okay, so with this. Okay. Everything is fine. I'll take the client ID, client secret from here. So we are replicating the client application which is created in external provider in our Anypoint exchange. Okay. So I'll go to my Postman. Okay. So now to execute this API, so I have taken the business group ID and instance. Okay. Header will be passing authorization bearer token and content type application JSON. Okay. And only query parameter is API instance ID. Okay. Now I need that token. So I have already configured my credentials over here. I'll generate the token first. So I'll generate the token. Now, okay, so that's fine. I'll fill this. Okay, and send. Okay. Now I'll go to my create client app here. And now our body is set. So let me trigger it. Now if your client application is successfully created, you'll see the 201 status created and you will get the response. Okay, and you can see that with the same credentials. Okay, if I copy this and check in my Octa. Okay, if I go to my Octa, control F, control V, this is the ID here. And same if I go to my Anypoint platform, if I refresh it. Okay. See here, new client application got created. And if I check the credentials, now you can see with the same credentials, our client application got created here. Now we can use this client application and start, you know, requesting access to the APIs which are secured by JWT or OAuth policies. Okay. So this is the workaround. This is, we have platform APIs to achieve this, and that's what we did. We used the Exchange platform API to create or replicate the client application, which is which was created in, external provider. Okay. So that's all from this session. Hope you liked it. Hope you feel it's useful. So let me know your feedback in the comment section. Okay. Yeah, that's all from this session. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Take care.